up, everybody? Dan Tortora here with
Isaac Alford.
And Tortora and Alford is back for another season of college football. Syracuse Orange Football season is right here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Of course, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we're bringing you content all throughout the season and extra bonus coverage in Wake Up Calls, Tortora and Alford. We are on-site pregame, on-site postgame, and we're here with you for extended coverage. And this is our lead into the season, into game one, which is Colgate at Syracuse, not the Chicago Cubs, not the Cleveland, whatever you call them. Guardians, other names when they used to have that letter. Yeah. Now they just, the thing about the logo is they made it look really childish. It was a C, and then they put like a little hook on it to make it look like a G. The Cleveland Guardians. Strange, but we're here today for Colgate Raiders at the Syracuse Orange and to lead in to the 2023 college football season in the official week one.
Yeah, man. Football season is back, man. I'm glad. Those summer months, you've been counting it down, and now the season is finally on our doorsteps, man. Matter of fact, it's tonight.
Yeah.
Last week, really, they kicked off, but for the Syracuse,
what is week 0?
I don't know what's that. I mean, I guess it's like the new number changes. Somebody's got to be 0.
Yeah.
So now we got to have a week 0. So it's just, 0's the new one, I guess.
Yeah. It's to make it's just to make more money. That's all it is.
Exactly. We'll
just
call
to make
it
more
0.
money. Yeah. We're gonna call. Yeah. You're gonna have games earlier than you normally do. Yeah. So you're gonna move week 1 up. No. We're going to have a week 0. Those games feel like they don't count. San Jose State at USC, Navy at Notre Dame, UTEP at Jacksonville State, Massachusetts at New Mexico State, Ohio at San Diego State, Florida International, FIU, at Louisiana Tech, and Hawaii with on the road at Vanderbilt. So here's a cool thing. UMass, which sometimes has one win in a season, are 1-0. Also, and I like Navy, so I want to preface by saying this. I do like Navy. My predictions are impartial, though. My prediction for the Navy game was 40-3 Notre Dame, and it was 42-3.
Yeah.
So right there.
Right there in the wheelhouse, yeah.
And Vanderbilt got a win. Hawaii came back. I want to credit them for that. That was a nice comeback for them in the game. Only 2 ranked teams in week 0, and Navy and Notre Dame played in a very interesting scenario because they played in Dublin, Ireland, which was pretty cool. So normally you get angry drunk fans at games, but in Ireland you get angry drunk fans all the time.
Yeah,
so
the whole country.
Yeah, all the time. Why are you mad? I don't know. That's what we're supposed to be. So now we got this week is crazy because this week at the time we're talking, there's games Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. They could do Sunday night football because it's the week before the NFL.
Yep. And
they could do Monday night football because it's the week before the NFL. So they're able to carry these things on ABC and ESPN. What do you think about having football for 5 days?
Man, I think you need to take it all in. I mean, they're taking advantage of the time they get. Like you said, there's no NFL, so
yeah,
we're right there, and everybody's just anxious to see the games again. But no, I think that's a smart play to spread it out over the weekend. So, and the weekend's a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So,
that's very true.
That makes it even better. So
I always forget that it's a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And then I'll work, and then people go, "It's Labor Day. Why are you working on Labor Day?" And I said, because people got to write stories and put out shows, and they need my help, obviously.
The labor has to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. How you supposed to watch the 5 o'clock news if I don't help them? So, I guess I'm being real quick.
But now it's great, man, to have it spread out over the holiday weekend because, what else is to do? Just lay back. Enjoy the seasons, the beginning of it,
Yeah.
Get your game plan out, get your tailgating stuff ready, Man, I'm just hyped, man. I'm just ready for the season to begin.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for all that is to come with this upcoming season. I know that it's something that we look forward to every single year, and to be here with you means a lot to us. We're happy you hang out with Tortora and Alford. Obviously, we're happy that you're with us on Wake Up Call as well. So there's a lot of things to get into. We'll talk about parking in a minute. And so,
who? What? the strategic advantage of parking. No, you good.
I thought I was good. I was doing the Dave Chappelle spill, but I had the water bottle open. So that's my bad. That's my bad. You didn't know it was going to be a water park on Tortora and Alford today. So yeah, but there's a lot of things to talk about. We can go really through the roster.
Yeah, right? Exactly. There's some new names, new numbers, you name it. Definitely go through the roster, the schedule,
training camp, free agency.
Yeah, it's all.
We're 2 weeks into camp and we need another D-back. Go get him in the portal. I don't care what y'all say. That's free agency.
Yeah, exactly.
That is free agency.
Use it to your advantage when you need it too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can, but. Like Dino said to me when I said, what about the advantage of doing that? Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, well, there's about 6 guys that are playing in the SEC, Big 12, and Big 10 that could be here with La Familia. So he did kind of take a shot back and say the portal's good, but some of our family members aren't playing with the family anymore.
Yeah. And, best of them, in their new adventures. But,
I'm happy that we recruited Deuce Chestnut for LSU.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know who he was. Now they do. Recruited Deuce, Jihad Carter.
JT Greer.
Yeah, JT. My goodness.
That's proven. I give credit to the coaching staff for finding talent out there, Sometimes if I think the lazy person that just looks at the star system and say, oh, yeah, we're not getting 5-star, 4-star players.
Yeah.
But there's players, Mike Williams was probably, a 2-star. That doesn't really matter for anything.
Yeah, and I think Drum said at best he was maybe a 3-star. Mm-hmm. Moose Johnson, I don't know if he had any stars. Right. Jay Bromley had no offers.
Yeah, he was almost summertime pickup after spring camp.
Jay was right at the end. He was the only offer.
Yeah,
with Syracuse. And you look at Sean Tucker, he was the 4th string back.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how those things work out. You never know when your opportunity is going to come knocking at the door, and then you step through it, man.
And you can't really get the opportunity when you leave the team quick.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, I'm not going to be the starter in the spring. I'm out of here. Then the starter goes down 2 weeks into fall, and you could have had that job.
Yeah, you sitting behind another number 1 guy or whatever the case may be. So the game works out in weird ways. You never know what it's going to be, but when it's your time to step up, you put in the time, and that's what you have to just be ready, be prepared for your time to shine, because it's a violent game. I don't think one team is going to start the season with the same starting rotation.
No.
And make it through the whole season. That never happens. So.
Well, that's what they say about teams all the time. Is they say, what are the odds of seeing the same team at the end of the year that you're going to see in the beginning of the year?
Right. So, but yeah, you just hope some of those young guys, they just be patient. Sometimes you have to wait your time. It's kind of tough. I can sit in that situation. You're the guy that coming from your particular town, you're the big name.
Yeah.
But you get surrounded by other guys that got just as much ability as you have. But there's a pecking order sometimes. But but I like the 4-game rule for freshmen. So if you do have some stud superstar, that you can kind of work them in throughout the season and not burn a red shirt, even if that's your intention, not to to red shirt them. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah. No. I mean, and that's a great part of it is that you have the opportunity to bring somebody in and you see what they got, right? Yeah. And if they still have their red shirt, then if they play in 4 games or less, you can use that red shirt.
Right.
So you have somebody that can actually get some time on the field. Like, let's say you're going to have a guy who's going to be out for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you get a true freshman DB in, he plays corner, he gets a bunch of experience 2-3 weeks, then you bring him out, he doesn't burn that year. Mm-hmm. You got somebody to help you during the time. Now your starter's back in.
Right.
So, it's a useful thing. We've obviously been over a year with the transfer portal and a couple of years with the transfer portal and NIL. What are your thoughts so far?
Being early in the stage, I guess it was a kind of how does this thing really work? I'm pretty sure players wasn't really sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that some of the factory schools pretty much had an idea how they wanted to make it work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I thought one of the things was kind of cool that I saw. The Manning kid, I think that went to Texas or something. I think his parents put a rule in for him, like you can't sign an NIL deal until you become a starter.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's just not like, because you don't want my name, family name, and I'm on the team. Oh, we're just gonna reach out to the Manning kid,
Yeah.
throw the NIL money, and then he's not even on the field. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Earn your keep.
Yeah,
Your money.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I think players, it's a sport that's bringing a lot of money. There's no way around it. We got leagues reshuffling. We can talk about that too.
Oh, yeah.
The realignment stuff that's going on. So
I haven't brought it up.
yeah,
I haven't talked about it. I haven't spent 3 years on it, 4 years on it now. No.
So, but you know what? And that's all about the money that's made in the sport. So, some of that can go to the student athlete. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, but you don't want people abusing the system too. No. And what I don't really like about it is, like in this year, you heard certain players say they didn't say it, but they'll insinuate, certain teams was reaching out to so and so trying to recruit him.
Oh,
He wasn't even in the portal.
Yeah.
So that's what I really don't like about it.
Yeah, and using money to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're not going to do that, Dan. They're not going to have somebody not in the portal.
Right.
Who they're going to say, if you get in the portal, you'll get X amount of dollars. And by the way, people worry about people texting people. How about texting players offering them money?
Exactly.
And I had a coach tell me this. I actually had an athletic director and a coach, same school, tell me this. That they said to me, their student athletes were coming up to them saying, Coach, just so you know, this is the coach that texted me from this school. This is how much he's offering me.
Right.
And so there was coaches.
Can you match it? Can you beat it? That's what it really was.
I mean, they're like coming up to their coach, showing them their phone, saying, "Here's the coach. This is what he said." That's a direct violation.
Yeah, to me.
Yeah. Get in the portal, and we'll give you this much money. So I mean, there's a few things going wrong. The number one of this is NIL and the transfer portal are not supposed to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Number two of that is that you can't bring somebody into the portal by coercing them with NIL money or NIL anything. So the NIL is not supposed to be used to get you into the portal. It's not supposed to be used to get you to a school. You're supposed to go somewhere for education first, and then be an athlete.
Right.
But we're looking at things how they are right now. This is kind of the sad part because where's the education? Where's the check and balance?
Mm-hmm.
If there's schools that have got, look at what Syracuse and Jim Boeheim lost 101 wins for, and then look at people now literally saying Jordan Addison's at Pitt, and then he's not in the portal, but USC wants him. And then he goes to USC, and then they're saying that there was nothing there, and we don't know. But as an example, you mean to tell me that USC didn't offer him something ahead of time? And some of these guys, they want to know. You're not just going to go into the portal and not know. So some of the guys want to reach out and say, okay, NC State, East Carolina, Texas, Oklahoma, do you want me? And if you want me, what are you willing to do? Because some of these people don't want to jump into the portal and then have to come back to the team with their tail between their legs if the team even lets them come back. So there's all these things that are around the transfer portal because there's no rules.
Yeah.
And the rules that, I shouldn't say there's no rules, there's some rules, but the parameters that are there, you can transfer at the end of the season when your emotions are high. You can transfer right after spring ball where you can share the playbook with any of the team's competition and you could just walk right out.
Right.
So you don't get the starting job at wide receiver at Alabama camp in the spring. Camp ends the day after it ends, the day after the spring game. You're in the transfer portal. You're going to Florida. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they also want to talk about where the windows are because at the end of the season and after spring ball, people are very emotional.
Oh, yeah. How many times have you heard it? This such and such team is named QB1. And it was a quarterback battle. What happens to the other guy that didn't make it?
Yeah, he's gone.
I'm in the portal. And now he's behind the timeline. Now he's searching and scrambling for a new team.
Right.
And depending on you, may be lucky. Some of them, I don't know. I would like to see how many people that went into the portal that didn't find a home.
Well, that's the thing is like they'll say a certain amount, like there's 1,000 some odd people in here. There was a breakdown of it where it showed like how many people were in, how many people like had, how many people were in the portal, how many people had signed, and how many people had not signed at this point, which was crazy. But I mean, that's the thing about it is the reality of it all is as we're doing this and as we're figuring this out, the windows of the portal, coercing people with NIL money, talking to people before they even get in the portal, there's a bunch of problems. What's the solution?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you got the student athlete best, his best in mind. You just ain't putting somebody in the portal and then it's just stranded. Hey, we can even see for disciplinary reasons.
Yeah.
So hey, I'm suspended. Okay, so I'm gonna join the portal. So it works.
Yeah,
in many different ways. So.
And that's what, we talked about it. I'm suspended. Word. I'm not suspended over here.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much. So I think that there's actually, I'm going to see if I can pull up the breakdown here of who's in. Okay. So in the 2023 college football transfer portal, 2,737 student athletes entered, 56 withdrew their name, 1,557 have committed. So when you add those together, that leaves us with, and I'm going to do the math here, that leaves us with 1,613 either committed or withdrawn their name, which means that there's over 1,100 student athletes that still don't have a home.
Yeah. I like the way you read that off. It almost sounded like it was the draft. The way you say the 2023 college.
In the 2023 college football portal, there are 2,737 people with a free education, and now there's 1,600 or there's 1,100 that have nothing.
Exactly.
No money, no education, and they're literally like they're going back to high school again.
And that's the sad part about it, because somebody's taking a risk of, hey, if I don't get put on, where am I going? I'm going to go D2, D3.
Yeah.
Remember
Drew Tuizama?
Yeah, he's at now, right?
South Carolina, but look at where it was before.
Yeah.
So he was Syracuse, UAB.
Yep.
Now he's in South Carolina.
Yep.
So he's been all over.
Yeah. One of my buddies called me, and that's a huge Carolina fan. He was telling me about it. I didn't pick up on the name.
Yeah.
And then he called me a day later. He said, "You know this guy played for Syracuse?" I was like, "Say the name again."
Tuizama.
Okay, yeah. So
they need to play that song, that I've been everywhere, man.
Yeah.
So
just keep the light on.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, college football transfer portal is Motel 6. We'll leave the light on for you. But we look at, so Jaden Bellamy came in from Notre Dame to Syracuse. Joe Moore and Jeanre Reed. I had both of them as guys transferring in that I thought would have an immediate impact.
Right.
And Joe Moore, they both have in the depth chart. Joe Moore came from Richmond. Jaden Gould and Jaleel Martin came from Nebraska. David Wallabaugh came from Kentucky, and he is now the starting right tackle, for those who don't know the name here. Justin Lamson. What'd I say to you? What I said was going to happen? I said he's a California boy who hasn't gotten the starting job. And if he doesn't get it in the first 2 years, he's going to go where? Going back to Cali.
Yeah, going back to Cali.
And he is at Stanford right now. And
we might see him in the future. You never know.
Yeah, that friggin' 3,000-mile trip. So you better hope you got a jet plane. So, but we got, and then Braden Davis came over from South Carolina to the Cuse. JT Gear went to South Carolina, so 1 for 1 there. And then we saw, I'm trying to see if there's anybody we missed here. Jacobian Morgan entered the portal. As of right now, doesn't have a home still.
Right.
And then we saw Anthony Quealy. He left. Braylon Ingraham, he is on the defensive line coming from Alabama. Jack Stonehouse, the punter, was from Missouri, who's here now. Deuce Chestnut's at LSU, like we mentioned. Damian Alford entered and withdrew his name. And then Steve Linton's at Texas Tech. Jihad Carter's at OHIO. Chad Schuster, who was on the offensive line, who we never saw play, went to Western Michigan. So we actually get to see him in week 2 of this season. Courtney Jackson left, and I believe he's at, it might be Arkansas State. Jihad Carter. Jihad went to Ohio State. Jeremiah Wilson withdrew his name. And, just going through some of this. Tyler Magnuson went to UMass, so he's already played a game here.
Okay. Josh
Huff left, and, that's where we are kind of looking at this whole thing, which is insane.
Yes.
But, to kind of bring it into reality for everybody out there, this is what really hit home for me. When you say, well, the transfer portal is just people wanting to leave teams that stink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, riddle me this then. Alabama
Who?
had Jameel Burrows leave for Miami, a D lineman. Punter Jack Martin left for Houston. We had wide receiver Christian Leary leave Alabama for Georgia Tech. Traquan Fegans, cornerback, left Alabama for USC. Elijah Brown, tight end, left Alabama for FAU. Tyler Harrell, wide receiver, left Alabama for Miami. And then looking at some of these other ones, Jaquez Robinson, cornerback, left Alabama for Colorado. And outside of that, I want to make sure we didn't miss anybody here. Tommy Brockenmeyer, offensive tackle, left Alabama for TCU. Demoy Kennedy left Alabama for Colorado. We had Amari Kite leave Alabama for UCF. Braylon Ingraham came to Syracuse, like we said. Kyrie Jackson, corner, left Alabama for Oregon. Trayshawn Holden, wide receiver, left Alabama for Oregon. So you got a bunch of these guys coming from Alabama leaving. Damian George, offensive tackle, left Alabama for Florida, go Gators. Trey Sanders, running back, left Alabama for TCU. So, you're seeing this long list. So it obviously doesn't have to just do with wins and losses or level of competition. So this whole NIL money and all of that potentially having something to do with it, why would we have a mass exodus from Alabama?
But another thing I was going to say is talent too. Sometimes you can compile so much talent, but there's only so many spots. And like you said, if somebody's not patient and just for unseen circumstances, somebody goes down, you don't want that all the time. But when you got that much talent on the team, they can say, hey, I'm ready to play, man. I'm ready to ball out. Why am I going to sit here behind, this guy that has 2 more years of eligibility in front of me? I can go just like anybody else goes. So, yeah. It's going to affect everybody. I'm pretty sure if you looked at Clemson.
Yeah, and this is another one I was going to go to. Because I mentioned this too.
Yeah.
Clemson had, I'm going to count them down now. 1, 2, 3. Let's make sure. We already counted him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So at least 14 players left Clemson this year. 14. Including former starting quarterback DJ Uiagalelei, who is now at Oregon State. And Oregon State plays in the... We don't know. What's the conference name? The Pac-4? The Let's Pack It All In? The Get Packed and Get Ready to Leave?
Yeah.
Is that why they were called the Pack? Because they all had to get the luggage together? I just want to know. Because nobody thought, and this is the sad part of it, and I'm sad for them, because I don't want to see this with anybody. Nobody thought the Pack was touchable.
Right.
Nobody thought they were touchable. Right? Except maybe R. Kelly. Nobody thought the Pack was touchable. I like to hit Isaac with these things because I know he wants to laugh. And I want to let you know, off the air, that would have been a big laugh. On the air, move on to the next subject.
Say what?
Word. But seriously, you have to have 8 in order to be a football conference.
You would think.
Right? You got to have 8. You have a 2-year hiatus where you have a 2-year window where you can get 4 more. I don't know who in the right mind would want to go play the Pac-12 could not get a TV deal done when they had USC and UCLA. Couldn't get a TV deal done when they lost them and had Oregon and Washington. Couldn't get a TV deal done when they had Arizona, Utah, and Arizona State. So now you're telling me you would leave the conference you're in, go to the Pac-4, not have a true football conference, not have enough teams, not have a television deal, not have any identifier. And what makes you think that if Oregon, Washington, USC, Utah, Arizona, and on and on and on, and UCLA, if they couldn't strike a TV deal with anybody in the Pac, what makes you think that SMU and Rice and whoever you want to throw into this bunch, and SMU has been inside of the American Athletic Conference for a long time. And now I'm dealing with, and I deal with this all the time. I dealt with UCF, when are they going to leave? UCF, when are they going to leave? When's Houston going to leave? Then a little bit of when Cincinnati going to leave. Why would SMU in Texas leave to go to a conference to become its 5th team, have no TV contract, and who would sign a TV deal with a Pac-5 and SMU that wouldn't sign the TV deal when they had Western Coast schools?
Yeah, and the funny thing about when you was talking about TV deals, my mom like, who really watches the West Coast on this side?
Games are on at 10 o'clock. And George Lopez, I be talking now.
TV deal for what? The TV sets are turned off.
Yeah.
At this point, those teams that you named that was just left in the 4. What other choice do they have? Is just independent?
Could they be more different, though?
Yeah.
Oregon State, Washington State, Cal and Stanford.
Right.
Cal and Stanford are known for education. Oregon State and Washington State really don't have an identifier. And you're sitting here thinking to yourself, if they had done what I said a year ago, which is if they had bonded with the Mountain West, they would have been the first to 20. They would have gotten there before the SEC. Dan, it wouldn't have made as much sense, and it wouldn't have done this, wouldn't have done that. Well, let me tell you something. You know what the Mountain West has? A TV deal. You know what the MAC has? A TV deal. You know what the American Athletic has? A TV deal. You know what the Sun Belt has? A TV deal. You know what some teams in the FCS have? A TV deal. So, you're the Pac-12. You're this storied historical conference, and you can't get a TV deal done with the teams you had. And now people think, actual professional people in journalism are arguing that it makes more sense for the American Athletic to lose teams to the Pac-4 than makes sense for the American to assume some of those teams from the Pac.
Yeah, if you don't have a deal, you might as well find a home where there is a deal. Why are you going to try to recreate something that's not there?
Right. It
just make no sense.
No, it doesn't, because you got the Big Ten, who's going to be on CBS, NBC, and Fox. You got the SEC, who's on whatever, ESPN, and so on and so whatever they got. At this point, the SEC could start its own television network.
Right.
And then you have ACC, which is on ABC and ESPN. And you have the American, which is on ABC and ESPN. And then you have a bunch of these that are on ESPN+. So when you look at all of this, and you look at the amount of money that they're willing to spend, the Big Ten was going to get the money. They got the money. They got the money, and then they added Oregon and Washington.
Right.
They had the TV deal already, and then they brought them in. So I'm trying to understand why anytime there's realignment, people go, oh, they're going to take from the American. What school would leave a TV deal, stability, to go to a conference that's almost dead? You're telling me that you believe the Pac conference is stronger than the American, losing their identifiers and all but 4 of their schools.
Right. And then your core audience, you take teams from the West Coast. I'm not staying. If I'm Cincinnati, or I should say some team on this side of the states, and my team travels out west to play a game.
Oh, yeah.
Average college kid is already like, all right, we're going to the party tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sitting here watching this game.
Yeah.
You know? Tell me about it when you get back.
Yeah. What's going to happen is Syracuse is going to play Cal, and kids from Syracuse are going to ask us about the game when we go to Insomnia Cookies.
What's the score?
Yeah. Syracuse is on the West Coast playing Stanford, and here's a live look at Tortora and Alford. You know?
Is that cookie crumbs on your shirt?
No, I ain't no internet troll. The internet troll's got the cookie crumbs in their belly button. They're picking them out. Now, the thing about the internet trolls, though, is they don't just pick them out of their belly button. They eat that. If it's not lint, it's edible. It's food.
Yeah.
They pick it out of there. It could be skin. It could be dust. It could be sand. It could be rocks. It could be chocolate. It could be an old pill.
Yeah.
But whatever trickles down there. By the way, let me tell you something. If you got stuff inside of your belly button, you need a come to Jesus moment, okay? If you are hiding stuff inside of your belly button, we need to talk about the life choices that you've made.
Yeah.
You know? When those people, but that's the thing. And the thing that's crazy is when that person snores and the stomach comes up and it goes down, and then they snore, and then somebody holds their nose, you know what happens? When the snore can't get out the nose, the popcorn blows out of the blowhole. Comes right out the belly button. And the crazy thing is, the popcorn goes in there as a kernel because it's so hot in the belly button, it comes out as popped popcorn. And I want you to think about that every time you try to be a troll again.
There you go.
You nasty. But yeah, back to Clemson and Alabama because that's popcorn. But
Yeah.
they're losing significant players, right? We said a couple of years ago Syracuse is losing 15 players, and now you're looking at Clemson's losing 14.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their starting quarterback, DJ, leaving. But here's the thing about DJ. Okay, and every time I say DJ, I want to be like, but like,
that's pretty good.
DJ, I think that's how they should introduce him. But he didn't fit.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's my issue. Here's my issue with this that he didn't fit in Clemson. Y'all had Taj Boyd, right? Came to the Dome, lit Syracuse up. You had Taj Boyd. Then you had Deshaun, my massage ain't ever gonna be free again, Watson. And then you had and then you had the prettiest Hanson brother, my guy Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you get spoiled,
Yes.
eventually you're gonna hit something that doesn't work.
Right.
Like Syracuse, 19 good punters in a row. Last 2 years, the guy that ran across the field, it took him 17 minutes to get there. He would have been a better punter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And that's a true statement, though. You can have so much talent and you get accustomed to great football play, but recruiting sometimes is a role. You never know what the player's going to do until they get under the bright lights. And, yeah, like you said, DJ one probably didn't fit, but they didn't really – Dabo wasn't going to risk wins and losses when you're trying to play for – a 4-team playoff? You got to get the W,
Yeah.
So, the writing was on the wall when they played yo-yo with the guy,
Yeah.
We down, we got to put the back up in,
Yeah.
So,
If Dabo's got to say, Klubnik, you're going in 3 times, this ain't going to happen next year. If he's got to go, all right, because he waited a couple games.
Yeah.
He let DJ play, and then it was like, all right, put Klubnik in. I'm not doing this crap no more. And it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But now the good thing about DJ is he'll get to know his opponents because he'll get to play each team in the pack 4 times a year. Think about the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the schedule, Chuck? But think about the schedule. Oregon State's schedule for the future could be Washington State. Now, let's just say they play in the conference.
Yeah.
Washington State, Cal, Stanford. Washington State, Cal, Stanford. That's 6 games. Washington State, Cal, Stanford. That's 9 games. Washington State, Cal, Stanford. So you play everybody 4 times. That's insane. UMass is going to be like, yes! We're going to have like an identifier now and play some games. New Mexico State is in a conference now. Liberty's in a conference now. Like a lot of these, there's really no independence left.
Right.
There's Army is an independent. Notre Dame is an independent. UConn is an independent. UMass is an independent. There's almost nobody left. There was like 7 or 8. Now there's like 4.
Was BYU?
BYU was an independent. Now
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not. They were an independent in football, and then they were in the West Coast Conference
Gotcha.
with Gonzaga for everything else. But so now we have. By the way, this is totally has nothing to do with football, and I know it makes no sense, and I know that I always call out the stuff that makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But for sheer fandom of like my love for this, they were rumoring last year that Gonzaga would join the Big East, and I'm like, oh, give it to me. To see Gonzaga in the Garden, this is the thing. Every March, they'd be like, what tournament's Dan at? Oh, you know where I'm at. You're going to give me Gonzaga, UConn. Well, right. I mean, you'd have Gonzaga, UConn, Villanova, Georgetown, St. John's, Seton Hall.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like everybody got invited to the party and they forgot to give an invitation to Syracuse. I think Syracuse, and this is no offense to the ACC because I love the way they treat me and we have a phenomenal relationship. I think if the ACC blows up or something happens, I think Syracuse should go back to the Big East for everything and then figure out a place to put football.
Yeah, independent. I don't know. Or find, like you say, find a place for them. You know.
Just figure out where you want to go. But I mean, to me, you go to the American Athletic for football. But I don't know if they want football only because, I mean, Navy has that identifier, has that name. Right. But the thing, and Syracuse has the history, right? But I just feel like they belong in the Big East. And I think a decade in the ACC, if we stood outside of the dome with a megaphone, like some people, and but instead of screaming, we're all going to die, we decided to say, let's take a poll. How many of you would like to be in the Big East? I think I'm willing to put my money that 80 to 90% of the Syracuse fans that we encounter would say that if they had a choice, they would still, 10 years later, want to be in the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, the natural rivalries are already set in that conference, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, we go back to the TV deals and rights and stuff, you know. It just wasn't really working financially for us, you know. And that's the reason.
But here's the question. If we have such a rivalry and we like to play teams in the beginning of the season to get wins, why don't we play Georgetown?
Yeah.
They're in the Patriot League.
Yeah.
They're in the FCS. Why don't we play Georgetown? We're afraid we're going to lose to them on the football field? I almost lost to Villanova on the football field. That was terrifying. That was the first game of the season. Overtime. And fans were going crazy. And I'm like, you should not be like going bonkers.
Yeah.
That, I mean, this is a game you're supposed to win.
Oh,
I'm not saying don't celebrate. I'm not saying don't have. I'm just saying they were like, oh my God. It was almost like they had beat a team above them.
Mm-hmm.
Which maybe Villanova was that year.
It could have been, you know. You coming out the gates like that, you know, the writing was on the wall.
Well, and you look at it, you got Colgate now.
Mm-hmm.
Colgate's coming up, right? And they're in the Patriot League as well. Colgate's in the Patriot League, in the FCS. We know they're good at basketball. Matt Langle has led them in men's basketball to the NCAA tournament after winning the Patriot League. In almost every single, he's won 4 of the last 5 years, but the only year he didn't win was COVID, when they couldn't do anything.
Right.
So you look at all of that, and he also has defeated Syracuse back-to-back years. So now Colgate comes in, and people go, psh, Colgate. And then I'm like, remember last time Colgate came in the dome? So, I mean, but these are the games Syracuse schedules to be kind of vanilla.
Yeah.
To give guys experience, to hopefully get second stringers out, maybe third stringers, to get guys comfortable playing the game, get guys comfortable playing jerseys that aren't orange. I mean, it's a game that's supposed to make you feel good, get you out there, not show a lot to the defense, and get a lot of guys out to get experience.
No. I mean, yeah, and exactly what you said. I mean, a game there, almost kind of, now not disrespecting Navy, but, you know, Notre Dame really wasn't trying to put a lot out on tape. You know, we know what, you know, Notre Dame has firepower wise, but the same thing with Syracuse. Like you said, you want to go in, come out injury, you know, free as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, get some guys some rotation time. And you know, been in camp for how many weeks? So it's nice, like you said, to see another jersey.
Well, the transfer portal. Some guys have been in camp for 1 week.
So yeah, you just want to get out on get the rust knocked off. You know, it's time to face another opponent. Nothing's never easy. I always listen to Dino in these games because he's been on the other side of the team that's the underdog. So I give him credit for keeping the team with. You go out and play the proper way, respect your opponent. But in theory, this should be a tune-up game for what you're trying to get accomplished for the rest of the season and whatnot. So
it should put you in a place where you're getting out and you're giving guys experience.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to go through the motions to get comfortable. You want them to play somebody that's not them in practice.
Right.
You know, and it is no disrespect to Colgate.
No.
Syracuse schedules games like this because they anticipate that they'll win, right? Colgate, Villanova, Wagner. It's no disrespect to them. It's just, it's Clemson and Citadel.
Yeah.
Right?
Clemson, South Carolina State, or whoever it might be. But but these are the games. This is their Super Bowl, so they're going to come in here and.
And normally you get paid. To come play these games.
That too.
Remember that time that Scott Schaefer got fired and then went to Middle Tennessee State, and the team got paid $900,000 to come beat Syracuse in the Dome? I hope they let Scott cash that check. Scott goes up there, he's just like, "Here you go."
Yeah. It happens, and that's what you can't let happen. You can't sleepwalk in games like this. They got athletes too, but are they? I always say to most people, these games is by the second quarter, maybe halftime, you should start wearing those teams down. If you're not, and we're in the fourth quarter, fighting for overtime, then something's
Is it Rick Ross? I would have been like Schaefer going up to Wild Hag and be like, "I'm tiptoeing down the I'm tiptoeing down. That's what I would have done. Oh my goodness! Could you imagine being Schaefer in the tunnel going to pick up the check? Oh man, head coach already in the bus. Can I get it? Thank you for that.
With my cigar.
$900,000 to lose. Damn. Come on now.
Yeah. But see what would you say? Schaefer, what kind of defense coordinator is he? He's aggressive.
Oh yeah.
That was the thing about it. He was throwing the kitchen sink at the offense. And they wasn't ready for that.
No, they weren't ready, and that's the thing. So you never know what you're gonna get. So Colgate's got a whole box of chocolates. I don't know what's coming. You know what I mean? And that's the fun part of this because, like you said, it's their Super Bowl. They're not too far away. They're playing in Hamilton, New York. Not a far distance off of 81. So you can get there pretty easily, and we'll see what it looks like. But let's go to the depth chart. So we look at Syracuse, and we look at where this depth chart sits right now. So as we go to the depth chart, which I'm so happy that it got released. I've been checking the depth chart since spring, and it said BC still. And I was like, what are we hiding? So, but now that we get to see the depth chart, and that's as if it wasn't taken down while I'm talking about it. Oh, you put the depth.
I got it. Take it down,
that's why you got to print it out. You put the depth chart where? So the depth chart's here now. Schrader's a starter. Is this smoke and mirrors? Could we see Del Rio come out in this game and them not put Schrader out because he's coming back from surgery?
No, I think you got to put him out there and let him gel with the new guys, because there's some guys out there that's trying to prove themselves on the outside. You heard it through the camp, how some of these wide receivers are stepping up and trying to be that number 2 behind Arande. So I don't think now Carlos can play. Like you said, hey, we get up 3 touchdowns by halftime. Why not bring in Carlos?
But he is the number 2.
Yeah.
Braden Davis is the number 3.
Right.
And Luke McPhail still on the team. So running backs, LaQuint Allen, who will now be wearing number 1, and Juwan Price. I spoke with Juwan Price, who told me that he confidently believes that you'll see the both of them. Then Dino answered me about the running backs.
Did you finally get an assessment of the running back?
First time.
Yeah.
The first time, Dino didn't want to say anything about it. And Dino and I have a great relationship. Why'd you recruit him? What'd you see on film? And why'd you recruit him?
I got you.
Dan, we haven't been in pads yet. Well, then wear some damn pads. What am I supposed to ask you the first week of camp?
Yeah, I got you.
How's everybody look out there in the shorts? So, but Dino and I got a great relationship. So
Yeah.
I'm joking with you.
Exactly.
I'm kidding with you, Dino. Obviously, I get it. But once you scrimmaged, I said, "Oh, my ask it again." And he did. He answered me, and he said, you're not going to see just one guy. You know, like we did with Sean, it was a unique situation. So now we're going to see a committee, and Juwan Price looks like he's super hungry for it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was looking at the group as a whole, and I mean, could be wrong or misread it, but by weight wise, he's the biggest still. I thought maybe some of the JUCO guys we brought in were maybe about 215, 220. No, they're all still listed weight wise below him. So, and he's been in the program a couple of years, so he's been around. I like what I saw from him last spring. He had a couple of nice runs last spring and stuff. So he's been around the offense. And I didn't really think that they were just gonna go one back anyway.
Yeah.
That's not been their style for Dino since he's first got here. He's always kind of had that two back, rotate, give the starter the opportunity to say, hey, give me a blow if I need it.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give you a what?
Get back in there. We need you. So,
give you a what?
Yeah.
Don't make me.
I will say.
Don't make me do a what he say check to you.
Yeah.
What he say check.
But I will say that did kind of make. I used to laugh like last year. It would be critical third down plays or something, and then you see OG coming off the field. You'll see Tucker come on the field. Like, what are we doing? We just third down, So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Wow, you just gave me a what he say check moment. He need a what? Well, when a guy needs a blow, he's got to come out.
Exactly.
All right. Well, in other news, there is a number 34 running back again.
Yeah.
J.J. Branham, who is transferred in and coming via two different places, Bryn College most recently, and before that at Eastern Michigan. So J.J. Branham, another running back, Ty Chandler as well, Josh Escobar, Mario Escobar, kind of cool here, and then Ike Daniels, who is on the team, Destin Hawkins, and Mawafik Parkman, who was on the team last year. Or no, he's a true freshman. He was in the spring.
Yeah.
True freshman, pardon me.
Yeah.
So I would imagine we're going to see maybe Parkman, maybe Daniels, maybe in this game, maybe. I think we're going to see a third running back in at least one or two of the first 4 games.
Right. I
anticipate, maybe not against Army, but I anticipate in these first couple games and in this game that we would potentially, maybe, especially with that 4-game rule that we talked about, where you could still redshirt if you play 4 games or less, that this could be a little Ike Daniels. More, I think Parkman, we're going to see him. I just do.
I have a feeling about Daniels. I liked his tape coming out of high school. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Did you see his tape before they scrimmaged?
Yeah. I saw his tape before.
So you could have talked about his talent.
Yeah, man. I saw. Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to prove a point that if you watched the tape.
Yeah, I watched the tape, man, and he's one of them. Got my eye on right now for to see, like you said, whether he's going to get some early playing time. But the only thing that can keep the JUCO guys off the field, maybe the playbook. Just getting here. Might have to work their way into it, but I agree with you though. I definitely think we may get down to that third person, by the first 4 games or not. So
I just want to know, Ike Daniels' picture. The hair looks like it's fake. It looked like somebody put it on there. Like, I want to know, because some of these guys, and I won't talk to them, but I'll be like, how do you get it under the helmet?
Oh yeah.
Like some of the guys got to do cornrows and stuff, and
you got the dreads and all this stuff, but they get a bigger helmet, I guess. I mean, that's one way to do it too.
Yeah. But that's the running back room here is going to be interesting to see who kind of steps up from this. Destin Hawkins as well. I want to make mention of him. He is coming from Foothill College, and he's from California. As a freshman, he had a redshirt year, 2021, 2022. He was in the Pac-7, which is bigger than the Pac-4 right now, mind you. So the Pac-7 first team all-conference, appeared in 10 games, Had over 1,100 yards, 8.5 yards a carry, 18 rushing touchdowns, caught 6 passes for 95 yards and a touchdown as well, and ran in the final game of the season for 306 yards on 14 carries.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think that's one of the guys that people might have circled on this. You know, and then we go to the wide receivers. It hasn't made sense to us why Isaac's younger cousin, Damian Alford.
The nephew.
I was going to say cousin and make it younger. But Damian Alford, okay, which I'm a big fan of Damian. Big fan. By the way, next to number 44, the number 5 has been the most iconic number to me growing up as a kid. So, and he wears number 5. So Damian Alford is out there. Donovan Brown, who's a redshirt freshman. Amari Hatcher, who was used sparingly. Isaiah Jones, who got injured at the beginning of last season. So we didn't get to see really anything from him at number 80. DeMarcus Adams, who transferred in last year, had some good moments, number 85. So, you know, there's a bunch of guys here. And, of course, marked as tight end, but we're not fooling anybody. Arande Gadsden the second. So you got Arande, and then you say to yourself, between Damian, Amari, Donovan, Isaiah, DeMarcus, who's going to be the next guy?
Right. I mean, the words coming out of camp is Damon has really proven himself. He's earned the captain honor for the team. So, you know, I think he has the ability. I mean, he's that player that makes those great catches over the last few years. You know, he went winning catch against Virginia Tech. I remember, you know, some critical third down and long plays that they find him, you know, when the quarterback is scrambling and stuff, that he makes those catches and stuff. But I think he has the potential. It's just now he just got to do a whole full season of those, you know, not that, what's Dino's favorite saying?
You got to
consistently
be
great,
consistently good, not occasionally
great. Yeah, so that's what he's really got to do.
His other saying is, I haven't seen them play yet, so I can't.
So hopefully you've seen Alford play in practice.
Well, we wouldn't do a show.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen Syracuse play yet. Can't do Tortora and Alford.
So, but no, I think, you know, and Jones, I think he was coming on. He had that catch in that Purdue game, in the same game that he went out, you know, with the shoulder injury. You know, I think he's coming on too. Brown is very interesting from what we've seen in the spring.
Yeah.
You know, last year in the spring game, and then this year, you know, it's kind of like a practice. But he looked like he had some potential. I think behind the scenes, if you hear the players talk, they kind of talk highly of him.
Yeah.
You know, and he's earned that spot. You know.
But people, I mean, the media's been high on Isaiah Jones.
Yeah.
Coming back. A lot of people want to talk to him. You know, here's the thing, though. We're looking at the 3 wide receiver spots and then Arande at tight end. Where in the, you know what, is Trevor Pena?
Well, I think Pena, what Dino said Monday, he has an owie. So yeah. I think, I'm not saying Brown didn't earn that spot, but maybe he's holding a spot, you know, and his opportunity to prove himself, you know. But
that's
I think
the thing,
Pena
is
has
it's like,
opportunity.
Say, take the injury out of it or whatever it is. You know, Trevor Pena, I would imagine, has to be at least the kick returner, punt returner.
Yeah.
And then one of the wide receivers, because right now going into this game, kick returner and punt returner, DeMarcus Adams, who's a receiver. And then below him, Donovan Brown at both. And I thought that was interesting, putting those guys there. I didn't envision DeMarcus Adams or Donovan Brown in those spots.
No?
I didn't. I mean, I look at it like this. Now, they're not as tall, so they're 6 foot and 6'1", so that makes sense to me. Because normally when you got guys back there, you have like running back, like smaller type wide receivers, which that makes sense. But I think it's because, you know, not seeing special teams return stuff. DeMarcus Adams and Donovan Brown, this is good for Syracuse, they're a question mark because there's not really any ample film.
Right.
Because last year was Trevor Pena all day, every day.
Exactly.
You know, when he's healthy, he's playing.
Yeah, and DeMarcus kind of reminds me of Nakeem. I think he's the speed guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's where he really came in to the program. You thought, okay, this guy has the speed ability to maybe stretch the field, maybe, again, catch a punt, or maybe you can return a kick back, you know. You know, and again, I think Brown's just holding Pena's spot in those roles, so.
But it'll be interesting to see what we see here and how many guys we see in this. We know that Garrett Schrader has had games where he's thrown it to 9 different people. So I would imagine that someone's got to step up and
and don't forget LeQuint coming out the backfield too. So,
right.
That's part of their repertoire.
Because the biggest thing to me is that Arande has to have a dominant other guy. And what I don't understand, and I don't necessarily, I mean, we go back, we'd have to look at the tape and see how many times he didn't break free.
Right.
But Damian Alford at 6'6", even the tallest DBs that might be 6 foot or 6'1", he's got 5 inches.
Yeah.
So why they weren't going to him in the end zone, Statue of Liberty plays, over the middle? I mean, to me, Damian Alford has the height. And then the other part of this is Kendall Long had a great catch, and we're not seeing him here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's you made a good point, too, because in the spring, he was, targeted, I don't know how many times, but I think that's another young wide receiver that's coming on, and, like you said, he had a great catch in the fall camp, too, so, just, again, there's going to be some games where we can probably get him in there, too, so... Yeah, I think he has the potential too.
That's why I wish they did 3 deep on here. Sometimes they do.
Right.
Sometimes when they do the or. Because Arande is tight end, and then below him is Max Mang or Dan Villari. By the way, my conversation with Dan Villari, which the majority of it was about God and faith and adversity, and going up against that adversity with faith and admitting that things are hard, admitting that mentally it's tough, admitting that life is not easy, but with God you can achieve anything. I implore you all to go back and watch that conversation with Dan Villari. It was a long time in the making, and to be able to do it means a lot to me, and to build that relationship with Dan, I just want to tell you, Dan, again, I really do appreciate that. And to your family and everybody who's in your circle that, helped you become the person you are today, I think you guys should all, really sleep sweetly knowing that, Dan gave such an honest, life isn't easy. You hit bumps in the road. You're not always perfect. You have ups and downs, but I believe in God and I try. And there's moments that are harder than others. He was just so real, and it was so genuine. And it was like a love letter back to God. And so I just want to say to you, Dan, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to tell your story. It means a lot.
No.
And I hope we get to see you out there on the field.
Yeah, and I think he's another one. The freshman tight end, I wish you could see, the young man from CBA, I'm losing his name right now, but... And by the way, this guy from Christian Brothers Academy, where I also went to Christian Brothers Academy, Dave,
but it's a different one. This one is in Albany. David Clement. So
I like what I saw, the little clips of him in the fall, And
he's 6'6".
Yeah, 275, big guy, and he looks like he got good hands, and he moves pretty well for 6'6", 275.
And he's one of the guys that was big coming in here, and then coming in next year, who I interviewed, 2024 tight end Jamie Tremble from Georgia, from Norcross, Georgia. His brother Tommy Tremble is in the NFL for the Panthers right now.
Right.
His dad played DB in the NFL. And then, obviously, at tight end, we want to give our prayers and well wishes to a speedy and full recovery for Stephen Mahar Jr., who comes to us from another New York school, Aquinas Institute, Rochester. Shout out to my quarterback out there that went to Penn State, Jake Zembeck, because he was also at Aquinas Institute. So then we look to the offensive line, and I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm just going to say that my running mate when I run for president, as determined years ago, Enrique A. Cruz Jr., shout out to all my Boricuas out of there. Important. And always been, and every time, I feel like when he does a big play, when he pancakes someone or recovers if he stops somebody or they do a play and he gets a touchdown, I just want the day he gets a touchdown, I just want the dome to go, and Puerto Rico! That's all I want. That's all I want. And I want the flags to come out. Because this is the thing about Puerto Ricans. They always have a flag in their pocket. You think it's staged. It's not. It's not a flash mob. It's like when you say Puerto Rico, everybody's got that flag out. So Enrique Cruz Jr., I asked Matt Bergeron on 2 separate occasions about the future of Syracuse's offensive line in a broad scope.
Mm-hmm.
Both times he said one name, Enrique Cruz Jr. So, Reek, excited for you this season. Left tackle, blind side. The Cruz has got it there. Joe Cruz is behind him. And then at left guard, God willing, let's go. Chris Bleich, get him back healthy. Love talking to Chris. He's an awesome guy, super kind, believes in God too. Kalen Ellis, always praying for your family in Hawaii. So God bless you, Kalen. Backup left guard. Center, this man talked to me in his recruitment. He told me, I'm going in to play. Like, there was a mentality of, like, they need him. Jay-Henry Reed, starting center, so he's going to get a shot right out the gate. Josh Olawa behind him, who played some time there. Another guy who I interviewed who was brought in to have an immediate impact, graduate transfer from Richmond, Joe Moore at right guard. Jacob Bradford behind him. And then David Wallabaugh Jr., who came through the transfer portal. And then Mark Petrie, who's been on the team. So, a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
Right tackle, totally feeling new. Right guard and center, guys that transferred in. Left guard, back to Bleich. And left tackle, he had some experience here last year. But now we get to see Enrique with arguably one of the most difficult and to some people the most difficult job on the field, which is protecting your quarterback's blind side.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a, offensive line redo. I mean, we got some pieces that, one person that was really kind of on and off starter last year so far. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I think this is the critical piece of the offense.
One kind of returning starter, Chris Bleich.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Allow us split it with Vettorello at center.
Right. And so this is going to be the critical how well these guys mesh and gel, and this is going to be the important part. If they can do their jobs, I think the offense is second year in this system. I think they're ready to do big things behind Schrader.
Yeah.
But this is just going to be the piece. This is going to be the key, though.
Yeah, no, the offensive line is always going to be an important part of anything that goes really, really well or really, 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 really wrong with the grand scheme of things here. So, and like you said, it was a great point that you just brought up. The fact that we are looking at an offensive line that has one kind of returning starter and everybody else new, but nobody has played a full season at any position for Syracuse's offensive line last year coming in, which is crazy here on this team specifically. So you don't have any returning starters from the whole season for Syracuse.
No. Now, you got people with experience.
Right. Joe Moore, Joe Moore had experience. Bleich had experience. Cruz, Enrique Cruz, of course, Jacob Bradford, Josh Olawa, Kalen Ellis. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you got the 3 sets of hands in the dirt in a 3-3-5. You got the return of my guy who was looking fresh in his Yankee gear, and I just want to know how I can get my hands on some of that. Caleb Okechukwu, bringing you that ma. So you got him. Kevin Jobity Jr., who literally was like 4th string, who had to come in on an injury or whatever it was last year. He filled in, had a nice play last year, and I remember the camera going in on him and going, this is a new guy, Kevin Jobity. So he's backing up Caleb Okechukwu, showing his hard work, dedication, and determination. Keeping with that notion, defensive tackle Kevon Darton, who had that dedication and determination and hard work, went from walk-on to scholarship to starter now. Elijah Fuentes-Cundiff, who was on the show, he backs him up. And Dennis Jacques Jr., who came onto the team last year as a true freshman, is backed up by Jobity Jr. So I believe that defensive line here is still similar to the one that Schaaf had with Tim Doust. I think we're going to see the rotation. So I think of Caleb Okechukwu, Kevin Jobity Jr., Kevon Darton, Elijah Fuentes-Cundiff, and Dennis Jacques Jr., maybe some other people. I think we're going to see every one of those 5 names.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't have the guy from Alabama on here.
Right. Yeah, Braylon's not on there.
We don't have Chase Simmons. I think he's an up and coming new player that's been in the program. I'm losing number 90. But there's a lot of players. I think the defensive line is pretty much stacked. We got a group of guys that they can, like you said, they can bring them in.
Yeah.
and
We got Belizaire Bassett, who
yeah, he
redshirted last year.
Yep, France, Knowlton. He's a guy that can come in and play.
Yeah, and you're thinking
Terry
about
Lockett.
Terry
Yeah,
Lockett.
yeah. Lockett got hurt and missed some time, but he's,
Yeah.
he's a guy.
Jaleel Smith, who I talked to,
Yeah.
coming onto the team wearing number 91. That's another guy. You brought up Chase Simmons.
Yeah.
So from last year, and yeah, I mean, I think
they're a stacked squad. Yeah, you just only see 4 names here, but that could be a little gamesmanship too.
Oh, yeah.
You don't show your
and I
hand.
like Terry Lockett too.
Yeah, yeah.
Terry Lockett's got some good things.
And you playing, it's kind of bringing them back into it. Coming off that injury, so you're not really gonna probably give him a lot of snaps, but he's been there all fall, so it's not like they don't know what he can do.
And by the way, Terry Lockett was the torchbearer for the Syracuse team when he came in 2021. He was the torchbearer of that class, which means he was the first to commit.
Mm-hmm.
So linebacker wise, we have, and I love this again, Dino and the staff giving something to hard work, actually paying off hard work, and showing that you can build yourself up on this team. Leon Lowry Jr. has had to step in a bunch of times. He comes in this game a starter. Stephon Thompson backs him up, coming off an injury from last year. Marlo Wax Jr., so happy to have him back. And Anwar Sparrow, who stepped in big time last year again. Austin, and it's him or Austin Roon. There's an or. And then Derek McDonald, we know he's been a tight end because that man's got hands. And then Caden Bailey, who comes onto the team as well. So this is something to look at when we look at the linebackers. And I want to make a note here about Caden Bailey, if I may. And there's some other linebackers that we're not seeing on here. Josiah Jeffrey and so on and so forth. So Josh Kabbalah. But there's Caden Bailey. Last year appeared in 13 games and was played
specials.
He was on special teams.
Yeah. I had a pretty good bowl game too, from what I remember.
Yeah, so we look back at here, had a career best 6 tackles, including 5 solo tackles against Minnesota in the bowl game. So that's another guy to look at. Caden Bailey, a name to remember. Corner wise, Isaiah Johnson, who not only is a starting corner this year, but he's a captain.
Yes.
So one of 6 captains. Isaiah Johnson, backed up by Greg Delane, who's a new name for you to see. Jeremiah Wilson and Jaden Bellamy, who transferred in to the team from Notre Dame. And then we have safeties, Elijah Clark and Jason Simmons as starters. Elijah Clark is marked down as a potential rover as well. Right. Jaden Gould, who transferred in from Nebraska. Amon Greenwood there as well. And then the rover, Justin Barron. So it looks like we're going to see the potential leadership jump of Elijah Clark. Definitely, I think this is the year to really show as a leader Justin Barron. And then, we're going to have some question marks at corner. Jeremiah Wilson and Isaiah Johnson, can they be consistent, in the losses of guys that you've had like Deuce Chestnut? And, and then Jason Simmons Jr. has done some good things, but will Jaden Bellamy and Jaden Gould, spelled differently, but will those 2 Jadens find their way to becoming starters?
Yeah, and they come highly recruited in, from other programs, but I think this group is a little bit, they got some guys behind them that still is not, again, we don't get the full picture. There's some other guys on this in the DB room that has a potential to step in. Like you said, the kid from Nebraska, he's only been here about 2 weeks. I can't expect him to, but he was the second leading tackler for the Nebraska defense last year, so it's not like he doesn't have game time experience. So, and he was learning Tony White's system, so yeah, he's familiar with some of the concepts of the 3-3-5. So it's not like he's leaving a totally different style defense to come play for this defense.
Yeah, and so a couple guys from Nebraska, Jaden Gould early, and recently Miles Farmer, who's coming in. Miles Farmer was a safety there. He's a grad transfer, and he was suspended at Nebraska. Word. Suspended, and now became in the middle of August, was able to transfer because it's NFL free agency. And so now he has transferred to Syracuse. He was suspended indefinitely at the start of the team's preseason camp by head coach Matt Rule. And it was Farmer's second suspension as a member of the team. And then after the second suspension came, which was him failing to adhere to team standards, he left.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there you go. I mean, the man's been suspended twice, and now he's playing.
Yeah, and he had the opportunity to reunite with his position coach. You know, the DB coach coming from Nebraska also, right? So, I mean, that was a guy that in that room that could talk for you and speak upon you. I mean, yeah, you probably ran into some problems, but sometimes second chances are warranted for some guys, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we make mistakes in life, but, you know, as long as you learn from them, that's the important thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously extremely important to learn from your mistakes, and hopefully whatever happened will be cleared up here, and things will hopefully get better.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope. So, I mean, we shall see. But, you know, as it stands right now, I mean, Miles Farmer adding to the depth, which is a big part of this, and I mean, it's important to have somebody here that's going to be able to do that and be able to draw that up. And then we look at, you know, the guy that you had made mention of, which I'm looking here, and that would be Travis Fisher, which you talked about. I'm talking about the Cornhuskers here. He was a defensive backs coach at Nebraska for the past 5 seasons, after previously coaching for 5 seasons at UCF, which is his alma mater. So Travis Fisher being there is a big thing, which means I probably crossed paths with him with Scott Frost at UCF. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. By the way, special teams, as we get to that on the depth chart, I feel like I should be in charge of some of the promotional things that they do here. Mm-hmm. And because I already came up with the in Puerto Rico. So, but the backup place kicker is Jaden O. And this is how I feel like it should be. Good play, you're like, oh. Bad play, you're like, oh. But this is what I want to know. On the back of his jersey, is it just OH? Because then someone's going to run up to him and go, I-O. So, Jaden O, I love that.
Yes.
You know, Jaden O. Good stuff. And another Jaden. You got Jaden Gould, Jaden Bellamy, Jaden O.
Yeah.
So, Jaden Oh, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Exactly. I mean, I think the commentator should be like, and the kick was made by Jaden. Oh. That'd be nice. I'm just saying. But Brady Denneberg, my guy, the starting place kicker.
Yes.
And he is going to be kicking off as well. Denneberg, exactly where I thought he would be after Andre Schmidt finished up his time. And it's his team to lead now, kicker-wise. 92 is the number he wears. Jack Stonehouse brought in from Iowa. Mm-hmm. And to be the punter, Max von Marburg still on the team as punter. Long snapper changes from Aaron Belinsky, who finished up his time, to Tom Callahan and Mike Midkiff. Mm-hmm. The holder, interesting here, is Justin Barron. And behind him, typically the punter will hold for the kicker, Jack Stonehouse. And then kick return, punt return for now is DeMarcus Adams starting both and Donovan Brown behind him.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, new punter. I like what I've seen in little small clips that we've been privy to in the fall. Guy seems like he's got a pretty good leg from what I've seen. So, I actually had some pretty good height on the punt. And I was thinking, man, you see this guy in the dome, scoreboard, watch out.
Yeah.
But we do want some, depth in there. I mean, height is good. Short, but you need.
All I know is I don't want the curveball 8 yards to the fans.
Watch out.
When Dino was like, "Well, we brought him in for trick plays," and I'm like, "You could call it that."
Yeah, I guess.
That would have been a Jaden.
Oh no.
Jaden. You're gonna be running today. So, but yeah, I mean, and listen, I mean. Syracuse has been spoiled.
Yeah, we have.
Riley Dixon,
Yeah.
Rob Long, Sterling Hoffrichter, who did everything.
Yeah.
Right? You got all these punters out here killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people all of a sudden are like, oh, why is the punter struggling? Again, it's like DJ Oyunglele. You have this position where, like, you just haven't had a bad guy at the position. You haven't had a guy that hasn't been able to do the position at a high clip in like a decade.
Right.
And now you're like, oh my gosh, look at this guy.
Yeah,
so normally when the punter comes out, people go to the bathroom. When Syracuse's punter comes out, you had to hold your beer.
Ain't coming.
I just remember my face when Dino goes, well, we brought him in because for specialty punts, and I was like, oh, word? I guess you could call an 8-yard hook to the second part of the stands. I guess you could call that a specialty punt. That's a special punt.
Mm-hmm. But you know how you fix that?
Huh.
Score touchdowns.
Yeah,
Keep the
true.
foot off the field.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And Dino turned around going, you know what? Our punter needs to get back. Your punter should never be on the field.
Yeah,
Your punter should be sitting there just relaxing to the,
warming up the kicker for the PAT. That's what he should be doing.
That's what you should be doing. Just relax. Let inside of the Stonehouse build a fireplace so the man can just hang out. He's not supposed to be out there. I know the Jaguars are having a good game when I look at the punter and I'm like, oh, he punted one time in the first half.
Yeah.
He punted one time in the first 3 quarters. There's games where they punted twice. That's it.
Yeah.
Scoring on a ton of drives. You know?
That solves that problem,
Then you don't have to worry about it. Then nobody has to worry about the fact that they pay $13 per beer and they had to buy 3 of them.
The concession guy's like, come on, punter.
Concession guy's like, oh man, it spilled again. Well, our policy is we don't know if you drank it. So, there used to be like a thing that was based on trust. You drop your ice cream, you walk up to the lady, and you're like, well, you just gave my ice cream 2 minutes ago. You know I didn't eat it all.
Right.
So can I get another one? She's like, oh man, I'm sorry. Here you go. Right? But in the Dome, with how much money they charge, and how they're out there blocking half-court shots by fans, I'm gonna tell you something. If your beer gets kicked by the punter, there's a good shot you're gonna have to either suck it up, or you're gonna have to pay for another one.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not the third quarter.
Oh yeah, because then your beer's lights out. You don't want to save that beer for the third quarter, because I know people be doing that. They're like, we're not serving beer after halftime. And you look underneath the bleachers, and they all got them. They got stacks of beer. It looks like they're playing beer pong underneath there. I got one for the third quarter, one for the fourth quarter, one for 5 minutes after the fourth quarter. Just be careful, people, okay? And drink responsibly.
Yes.
Okay? This is my thing. When you can't drink for the entire second half, how are y'all still drunk? Like, y'all need to...
Oh, it was pregame tailgate.
Well, it's that, and it's the beer underneath the seats. And it's those water bottles that are filled with not beer. You know what I mean?
Sometimes the sangria is good,
Let me tell you something. The Cuse family makes sangria. I said, I'm going to be in the press box with my shirt off. Twisted around my head, spinning like a helicopter. I'm going to be out. I said, I'm going to be hanging out of the press box. They're going to have to stop the game. I'll tell you what. Listen, I've never been drunk in my life on purpose. I'm not one to drink a lot at all. But when you make your sangria taste like syrup that you put on ice cream,
you're in trouble.
The only thing that keeps me away from it is the bees.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's the problem. That's what I told Enrique's mom. I said, you're trying to make Isaac and I get kicked out in the first quarter. You make us say some stupid stuff. We're standing up there saying everything we want to say.
Fighting over seats and stuff,
Yeah. Hanging out of the press box with my Puerto Rican flag. Why not? So, but I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I don't know how we got there, but we got there.
The sangria.
It's so good. Sangria makes the clothes come off. I mean, it makes all the clothes come off. Tell you that. Sangria's got everybody thinking they're the emperor. What is it? The emperor's new clothes? Everybody's out there naked in the dome going, nah, I got a nice robe on. The sangria is dangerous. I'm going to tell the Cuse family, listen all the way to the end. We talk about nudity and sangria.
It's delicious.
And they're going to be like, that's a typical party, man. I mean, let me tell you something. I've been to a fantastic backyard Puerto Rican family party.
Mm-hmm.
And sangria, music, and it could be a man or a woman, but somebody took their shirt off. It's always somebody.
It's always a party.
And they're always dancing.
Oh.
Always dancing.
Music loud.
Yeah.
Good
And that's
food.
the thing is, being Hispanic, I love that. Like, I dated a Puerto Rican girl back in the day, and I dated her a lot longer than I should have because I loved her family.
Oh.
And my dad was like, well, you're not marrying her family. I'm like, but could I?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I would have married her sister.
That's another topic.
As I was coming out, I was like, Dan, you probably shouldn't say it. And it was like, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I just talked about sangria and nudity. We're going to talk about this now. I got to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if my ex is watching this 16 years later, what am I supposed to say? The statute of limitations is 5 years.
It's far enough removed. You're okay.
It's far enough removed. Isaac said far worse on today's show. He needs to come out for a blow. That man, Isaac's either talking dirty. It's either dirty talk, sangria, or it's Scarface. I don't know what he means by it. He means something.
It happens,
Yeah. All we need to do is make sure that no matter how much sangria is had,
mm-hmm.
y'all drink responsibly. I will never be drunk because I've never been drunk and I never want to be drunk. I just need to make sure that Isaac and I can get back to our parking because it's on the south campus of Vanderbilt.
Go Dolphins. Oh, we too far?
Yeah, I want to park at Lemoyne. Why not? I'm just going to hang out at Lemoyne. I know I'll be eating good.
Uh-huh.
I know I'll be treated well. I know nobody's going to be eating eggs in my seat.
There you go.
You kidding me? That seat is, no, that's roped off. Dolphins treat me good. So, but yeah, let nobody be, I almost had an Italian mob moment when somebody's eating my eggs,
mm-hmm.
which is what happens when somebody's eating food in your seat. And then they tell you, I'm going to be a minute, as you can see I'm having breakfast. And then they do this. Normally, in an Italian family, we would pick you up and go, oh, you're hungry? We'd bring you over to the buffet. We put your face down in it, and we would make sure you got enough eggs.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit of Suge Knight.
I know, right? It does. Where do you think he got it from?
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, when he made him eat the mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You're going to eat eggs. Find yourself your own seat.
Yeah.
You got assigned seats. Okay? And you can't say it was the sangria because you didn't come to the tailgate.
Not a sangria might cause a reaction.
Oh, yeah. The sangria going to cause everybody to be different. The bees were different out there with that sangria. It was ridiculous. I don't know how she made it because I've had people make me sangria and it's always gross. They always play it up. They tell me what it's going to taste like, how amazing it's going to be. It's going to be like having a fruit bowl, as a drink and da-da-da-da. And it was always gross. And then...
sometimes some people got the right touch. A little too much of this and a little too much of that. You can throw it out of whack, but you let it settle overnight. Leave the fruit alone. You chase that fruit, you're going to be in trouble.
I'm always and that's the thing, though. Here, I'm like a kid. I said the pineapple, Bob, and I'm like, ooh, pineapple. Ooh, cantaloupe. She's like, it's been sitting in there for 3 days. I'm like... And then 2 minutes later, because I'm a child, I'm like, grapes! And I totally forget about it. Yeah, that's why... I'm okay, though. We were fine.
We're going to be good.
We figured it out.
Yeah,
We're going to be all right. We're going to be sponsored by Insomnia Cookies. It better happen. Win, lose, or draw. That doesn't matter.
That's what happens.
That's where we go. So with that being said, for Tortora and Alford in this Wake Up Call bonus episode, bringing you into Colgate at Syracuse, I guess we got to give our score and our pick.
Oh, score and pick. Oh, my goodness. I'm going... 52, because they're going to take the foot off the pedal.
Okay.
Dino's a gracious host, If it's that high, he's going to run up the middle, run up the middle, run up the middle.
I think you're being modest. I think he's going to run up the middle of the whole game.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
I think it's going to be more of a quiet.
It's going to be very conservative. If we can do what we need to do. Yes, it's not going to be a lot of fireworks over the top, But I'll say 52-7.
52-7.
Yeah, 52-7. Because we're going to probably have our backups in, and, Colgate's going to.
Yeah. And Colgate's got a running quarterback, though. Michael Bracia. I mean, look at him.
So you need. I need to change it up.
753 yards on the ground, led the whole team. 4.3 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns, 277 passes, 1,636 yards, 54.9% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So he's more of the option to run more than pass.
We'll see what he do against the mob. So he better stay in the pocket. All I know.
Okay, what are you gonna say?
52-7.
52-7. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with that.
All right, I'm gonna put it on the board here. Here it is. So Isaac says, prediction 52-7. 52-7 Syracuse. My prediction is gonna be. Let me think. I think I like that number. Do I like that number? Let me think. Let me go with the math on this. 6 times 6 gonna get me there. I'm gonna say 47. 47-7.
47-7.
That's gonna be mine. 47-7. I take 5 off of yours.
Okay.
47-7. That's what I got. My prediction's been good so far. The only one that I had made in week 0 was Notre Dame 40-3, and they won 42-3.
Yeah, it was in the ballpark. That's not too bad.
It was a safety off.
Yeah.
That's good. That would be a win in most places. Closest to the pin is what I got. So, with that being said, this has been an edition of Tortora and Alford inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Make sure you're with Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they hop right in to the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Once again, Tortora and Alford will be with you all football season long, and we'll have stuff pre-going into the Dome, post coming out of the Dome, and of course, we will be right here in the studios for Tortora and Alford. As always, appreciate you.
Always a pleasure, man. Let's go Orange.
We'll talk with you soon. Take care. God bless. No stress. Do your best.